Strange-looking horses overrun a small island in Maryland. Horse lovers and fans, this one's for you. If you watched the 1979 movie The Black Stallion as a youngster and wished that you, too, could be stranded on an island befriending a wild horse, most would scoff and say you're out of luck. However, you can finally prove those naysayers wrong. There's one island left on Earth where folks can visit and hang out with wild horses. It's located on the east coast of the United States, and if you're lucky, you might catch a glimpse of a special event that only happens once a year. On Assateague Island, an undeveloped piece of land just off the coast of Maryland and Virginia, lives a herd of strange wild creatures. Built like horses and sized like ponies, their breed has been there since colonial days. How did these animals get onto the island? Due to Assateague's nature as a barrier island, its sandy shores change shape often with the sea and wind, and it isn't connected to any other land. As a matter of fact, the government once tried to build a road from one end of the island to the other, but it was promptly destroyed by a hurricane. So yeah, it's not an environment where settlements can be built. According to legend, a Spanish galleon wrecked near Assateague centuries ago, and its cargo of domesticated horses swam to the nearest island they could find. Other historians think the herd's ancestors escaped from a colonial farm. Either way, once the horses had arrived on the island, they couldn't be retrieved. Instead, they found some tasty grass growing there and began to adapt to their new beachy home. It wasn't easy for them. There were many things to get used to. The horses no longer had contact with humans, and they had to fend for themselves, searching for food when one part of the island ran out. They adapted physically, too. While the original horses who arrived on Assateague were true horses, the island's harsh weather conditions killed off all but the shorter, sturdier foals. Over the years, the herd's offspring became shorter, with shakier coats for outdoor winters. The herd also began to appear rounder, as if they were all pregnant or overweight. It was actually due to the accumulation of sea salt on the grass on the island, which caused bloating when eaten. For many years, the horses of Assateague were known only locally, but in 1947 they got their big break. Author Marguerite Henry published the classic children's book, Misty of Chincoteague, about a horse who is descended from an Assateague inhabitant. The book went viral, as they say, and was a runner-up for the Newbery Medal. Readers began flocking to Assateague hoping to catch a glimpse of the horses for themselves. And glimpse they did. In the 1950s, the US government declared Assateague a protected national seashore. In order to enhance tourism on the island as a nature reserve, paved campsites were set up, and bridges were built on the other end of Assateague to provide car access. As a bigger influx of tourists reached Assateague, you might think the horses would be scared away. But no, they kept minding their own business and eating their grass. This made for some interesting stories. Occasionally, visitors who've gotten too close, either while trying to feed or pet the horses, have been bitten. Although the horses are used to human presence, they can perceive even a gentle pat as a threat. Although any time of the year is a good time to see the horses on Assateague, the most exciting show happens on the last Wednesday of every July, when 50,000 tourists flock to the shores of Chincoteague to watch an unforgettable sight. In order to keep the horse population healthy and under control, saltwater cowboys go to Assateague on this day and round up every last horse, and swim them across the channel to Chincoteague, where some of the foals are auctioned. As the crowds watch excitedly and quietly, the cowboys herd the horses into the water at low tide, and then shepherd them through, giving special assistance to any animals that may be struggling or weak. Once they reach Chincoteague on the other side of the channel, the horses are corralled, and they all run down Main Street to the Chincoteague Carnival grounds, where an auction will be held the next day. After the auction, the horses are corralled once more and gathered on Chincoteague's shores to swim back to Assateague, where they'll munch on grass and trot happily until next year's swim comes around. The event is so widely renowned that it was filmed on location in 1960 for the movie Misty. Many local residents got to be in the movie, and Chincoteague children were even permitted to miss school to see Hollywood in their town. Despite all the trimmings and trappings, locals say the best way to get up close and personal with the horses is still to drive to Assateague. Get out of your car and wait for the magic to find you. The same rule applies on most animal islands.